Welcome to the Healing Soul podcast, empowering wellness and oneness. I'm your host, Marybeth Rombach Nelson, and I'm really excited. I have a fascinating guest today, Dr. Richard Grossman. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about your background and what you do?
Sure. A little bit is hard because I have a pretty extensive background, but I could start at the beginning. I was born and I've been a human being since then. And I started having a fascination with healing as a young lad who had undergone some significant trauma in his youth. And that path led me through many different things through diet, nutrition, macrobiotics, fasting, veganism, acupuncture, Chinese medicine, and then into shamanism, particularly Peruvian shamanism, found in the jungles there. And
Fascinating.
yeah,
Peru. How have you been in Peru many times or?
many times. Yeah.
Machu Picchu, I've always wanted to go and see. I'm sure it's a beautiful, beautiful site.
It's amazing. It's even with the changes they've made in it and the tourism intensity and the time limits, there's still like this one passage you walk through where you're in the mountains and it's pretty, and then you walk through this passage and you're in Machu Picchu and it's breathtaking. People stop and their jaw drops, and it's like all the pictures you've seen in the past are suddenly right there in front of you.
It's
It's a
amazing.
stunning experience.
I bet you feel the energy go throughout your body just standing there.
Yes. Yeah, it's on a major energetic. I don't know that I call it a vortex. I don't even know that I'd name it, but the way is where it's built and how it was built and the attention. You know, when you're working with rocks, big rocks, your attention to detail is going to be really much more accurate than if you have some plywood and a hammers and nails. You know,
Right.
everything has to be incredibly intentional. And then the mountains surrounding it, and you're on the side of a mountain or close to the top of a mountain. It's breathtaking. There's nothing like it.
I hope to get there one day before I die for sure. So I guess you said you had gone through some childhood trauma. At what point did you explore shamanism and know that that was the path for you?
When I was in elementary school, I believe in the fourth or fifth grade, I don't recall exactly which one, we had an assignment of what do you want to be when you grow up? And, you know, the people in the classroom all had the typical childhood answers, which was either what their parents did or what their father did or mother did, or they wanted to be the president or a pilot or a fireman or a policeman or, you know, things like that, just the typical things that children fantasize about. And I said I wanted to study the effects of plants on the mind,
In the fifth
which,
grade, or was it fourth
yeah,
grade?
yeah, fourth or fifth, I don't
Wow,
recall.
I mean, that is not a typical thing for a child that age to say.
It was so atypical that we had to have a name for it, right? We had to say, I want to be blank when I grow up. So my poor mom, with this strange child she had, went to UCLA and just started asking in the biomedical sections and every place else what this meant and what it could be. Is there a title for it? And the closest that she got was psychopharmacologist, which didn't really appeal to me, but I had never heard of shamanism. I didn't even know plants had an effect on the mind at that age. I had no clue. I don't even know where it came from, other
Do you think
than
it was a soul remembering,
I
like
could
from a
say
past
that.
life?
I could say something like that.
Yeah, because it's so
Yeah.
unusual for a child that age to come out with. So, all your years of experience and the vast knowledge and wisdom, what has your decades of indigenous healing, what has it taught your soul, and what lessons do you teach others?
Oh, that's a small question, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's a mouthful, isn't it?
what has it taught me? It's taught me that, a lot of what I work with is trauma. In fact, I wrote a book recently, published a book recently called Trust and Forgive, the Medicine of Your Life. And I think, it went through stages, like there was the energetic phase of Chinese medicine and how powerful the acupuncture points are. And there was the phases of the fasting myself to a skeleton practically because I
Wow.
wanted to become pure. And there was a lot of different phases. And I'd say what my takeaway is from all of it is that everybody is traumatized. Everybody's carrying trauma. Even if nothing happened in this lifetime, there's still trauma because it's traumatic to watch violence on television or a movie. It's traumatic to hear or watch the news. It's incredibly traumatic these days. And there's so many places where trauma can enter the person's soul, the person's being, and cause wounding on the person's soul or impressions on the person's soul. And what I really learned in the work with the plants is that this is not a one lifetime thing. This goes back very, 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 very far. And in fact, I just completed a book that I don't know what the title is. The tentative title is Time Threads, but it's a novel that covers this idea of trauma is not this lifetime. Trauma and healing is not this lifetime either. Healing has to be comprehensive, not necessarily picking apart every past lifetime, because who really knows what these things are?
Right.
Are they past lifetimes? Are they, the collective unconscious? Are they brain chemistry? Nobody really knows.
I guess,
There's no,
ul- I'm sorry, but ultimately, I think at a soul level, when you align, it's just a knowingness of what you need to release and what you need to heal, and that inner peace and calm that comes over you. And it doesn't matter if it's ancestral soul wounds or current soul wounds, it's the healing that's the important part. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree with that. A lot of times, when I'm working with people, they'll say, why is this happening? Why am I like this? What's causing this? And my response is always, I don't care. I want to know how to get you through this and past it. It's not important really to know what I did 20 lifetimes ago, although I may still be carrying a wound from that if that is something that actually occurs. Um, but what's important is that letting go into joy, into peace, into love, and letting the winds of time wash away the sanskaras, the impressions, the wounds of the past. And in that is the deepest level of healing. I don't have to know. In fact, if I know, I can get so stuck in the story
Right.
or stories that I'll never really heal. I'll never really, really get to that place of here I am. I'm breathing. I'm alive. I'm releasing.
Right. It
I'm
allows you to
accepting. I'm
release it.
letting go.
Right.
And I'm looking from the present towards the future, not to the future, but towards the future, because who knows what the future is going to be anyway?
Right.
Nobody knows. And I'm not carrying the wounds and the burdens of the past. I liken it to, when you're born, you have a backpack on your back that has a certain number of bricks in it. The wounding of birth, past impressions, your parents, your genetics, your epigenetics, your ancestry, all of these things have a certain weight upon a person. That's why sometimes you can look in a baby's eyes and see, like, there's wisdom there.
Yeah.
They forget it. They forget it. It doesn't take long till all that stuff is forgotten,
Uh-huh.
only to be recalled more as an adult. But, and during life, we accumulate bricks in our backpack. And the trick is we've been wearing it for so long and it's so much a part of us that we forget we're carrying it.
We
We
do.
forget those bricks are there. And so when the healing comes up and you can, reach back, or a song or a music can help you like release a few of these bricks, or even one brick is significant, even if there might be 100 of them. One
Hmm.
is significant, or 1,000 of them, or whatever it is. And so the healing process then becomes, metaphorically speaking, of course, there is no backpack, there are no bricks, but metaphorically speaking, um, surrendering to the present moment, what's called in shamanism or Peruvian shamanism, one tribe word for it is Yaran Din, the exact moment of now,
Mhm.
coming more and more so that your timeline is washed, is released, is let go of, is surrendered into the beauty of the exact moment of now, into what I call trust and forgive.
That's beautiful.
And in that releasing into the exact moment of now, a person develops the emotional state or the psychological state or the physiological state of freedom. And if it isn't freedom that enables a person to be who they really are, I don't know what it is. Because if I'm carrying this backpack full of bricks, I'm not myself. I'm the backpack. I'm the
Right.
weight.
So now,
Mm.
talking about integrating our emotions, our thoughts, our life experiences, and aligning ourselves to our soul self in this now moment, how can we share with our listeners ways to become whole?
Yeah, the first thing I want to say to that is it's a process. It's not I'm going to tell you something that's going to solve all your problems in five
Right,
minutes. It's a
right.
process. And as far as I can tell, it's a lifelong process because there's subtle levels of stuff that keep on coming up even after a person might have their enlightening experience. They have the heavens open up and the angels sing, whatever it is. I don't want to be too cliche about it, but whatever that experience is of the light, of love, of joy, other stuff still will percolate up. So the first step, I think, to this is patience, is really profound patience, because it is a journey. We are walking a trail. I'm looking at the mountains behind you, and it's like there's a trail there I'd like to hike,
Right.
So we're walking on this trail of life, and every moment of it has the potential to be fulfilling, has the potential to be beautiful, has the potential to be transcendental, for lack of a less good word. That's a beautiful word,
That
to
is a beautiful
transcend.
word.
Not transcend. Also, I want to make it clear here, not transcend in bypassing these things, because there is no bypassing. There's no way to throw things. There's only like acceptance and love. So if I'm carrying a
Surrendering,
wound,
kind of
like if
releasing,
I like,
surrendering, and allowing.
let's say, so something that's happened to me recently, somebody in my life did something that's mildly upsetting, let's say. I don't want to go into the details. I'm not going to definitely mention who it is, but
Right.
use your imagination. They did something that was mildly upsetting. So a couple of nights ago, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and guess what I was thinking about? That,
Yeah.
and it was cold. I didn't want to get out of bed and I didn't want to stay awake. So I'm like lying there trying to fall back to sleep. And it's like this keeps on there. This keeps on being there. This conversation in my mind. Who was I talking to? I had no idea, but I was talking, people say, well, talking to ourselves, talking to
Right.
myself. I don't know what that means yet, but I'm talking to myself, having this conversation. And then I was like, well, I don't have to do this. I can, in my own being, take a few deep breaths, relax, and forgive that person in that moment. It doesn't mean that what they did was right or that I'm forgiving their action or making their action okay. It means that I decided not to carry that in my body, in my being. I decided to, ah, my hands on my heart, breathe a few times, relax. Ultimately, I ended up getting up and sitting for a couple hours in meditation. And, the circumstances kept on popping up gently and a couple times significantly from time to time. And each time I was just like focus on the breath. That's in the moment. That's the closest thing that we have to the moment is the breath. And
Right.
so by doing that, I was able to, like let it out of my body, let it go. The circumstance has not changed. It's not resolved. Nothing is different. But I'm not waking up. I didn't wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to think about it last night.
So you found
That's
your inner peace and calm.
Yeah. And I found the inner peace and calm by passing through it, not by trying to push it away.
You got to feel the feelings first.
Yes. Yeah. As John Gray once said, what you can feel, you can heal.
Oh, it's so true. And I always
Yeah.
envision in my meditation all the stress, the hurt, or the situation going into Mother Earth and being transmuted.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So, in shamanism, we journey to different worlds. And how do you connect the physical world and the spiritual world to help the people that you are healing and teaching?
The strongest and deepest connection that I found is through music
Music. Okay.
and through song, through the Peruvian Icaros, they call them, the songs that are sung during ayahuasca ceremonies. I found those to be incredibly powerful in that if I'm dealing with it intellectually, I'm in the intellectual realm. I'm in the good, bad, right, wrong, figure it out, process it, think about it, write a book about it, whatever it is. I'm in that realm. If I'm in the realm of music, I'm much more likely to take that deep breath and surrender. In I think it's one of the Native American traditions. I believe, Janae, and I could be wrong, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But there's a saying that healing, to be true healing, must be beautiful. And I believe that. That's a big way that I run my life and I run my healing work, is that I want people to experience beauty and not an idea of beauty, because I could say a tree is beautiful. I could say a child's smile is beautiful. I could say the mountains behind you are beautiful. I could say a lot of things are beautiful, but then there's the true beauty within, of
Right.
the soul, of the spirit, of who I really am when I'm not here. It's been said, I believe, I don't know who said it, but the longest and most difficult journey a human being can ever take is from here to here,
Right.
because this is so demanding.
Well, just slowing down to realize again who you really are and to be present in the now moment instead of worrying about the past, the future, and all those busy thoughts. And for me, meditation connects me spiritually the more than anything, and then being in nature.
It's a practice, isn't it?
It is every day.
You
And
can't
sometimes
meditate
we take
once and
two
expect
steps
it to be all
forward
better,
and then
right?
a step back, and we have to focus again and have
Yeah,
another
somebody
aha moment or another event in your life that stops you cold and makes you refocus.
somebody once told me that a failure falls down 999 times and a success falls down 999 times and gets up one more time.
It's so true. And,
Yeah.
our listeners, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are having troubles right now and need a little hope. But just knowing that you do have inner wisdom and peace and that tomorrow can be a better day.
Yeah, tomorrow
To
can
keep going,
absolutely be a better
just to
day.
keep going and keep trying and keep learning. And every tragedy, I think, gleans great wisdom.
Yes, I agree. 100%.
So I took a very beginning shamanism class years ago, and the person, the shaman conducting the class, taught us how to journey And I journeyed a couple times and I saw three different waterfalls and it was like a forest and there were peacocks and it was just blissful and peaceful. So do you teach people how to journey also?
I don't, that's not one of the things that I teach people.
Okay.
I,
So have you
I take them
experienced it
on
yourself?
many years ago when I did probably the same shamanism class. Yes.
Okay. It's
Yeah,
fascinating
it is. It is.
because you
Um,
transport to another world, basically.
yes. Yeah.
So I know we talked before we got on about plant medicine. Can you share some of the plant medicine that you use in your healing process?
Yeah. Many years ago, it's a bit of a story. The full story is in my book, and it's a
And what was the
fascinating
title of your
story.
book again? I'm sorry.
It's called Trust and
The
Forgive. Yes.
Medicine of Your Life. Okay, thank you. And where can our listeners get that?
It's on Amazon.
Perfect. Okay. But continue. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt.
So where were we?
The plant medicine.
Plant medicine. So I started working with plant medicines when I was in my teens, and a lot of people during that time period would take the plants or the substances to trip. That was the term, to trip out, blow my mind, this and that. For whatever reason, I relate this to the fifth grade, is that whenever I did plant medicines, I would sit and I would meditate. Even though I didn't know how to meditate at that point, I just
Right.
sit and close my eyes and focus on my breath and, listen to the sounds, especially in nature. Try to sit by the sea or by a waterfall and let it wash over me. So what plant medicines do is many, 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 many things. So much research is happening now about their long-term efficacy for depression and anxiety. Even a one-time dose of psychedelic mushrooms of psilocybin cubensis, even a one-time dose of that can relieve depression for many months or even some cases long, long term.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, it's fascinating. This is one of the things that is going to be more and more in our society as the stigmas of it are washed away. It doesn't deserve any of the stigmas that it has.
Right.
So one day, because I had been through that trauma as a youth, as a child, I was carrying a lot of it in my being. Even after going to India and sitting on the banks of the Ganges for 3 months meditating, even after getting Rolfed, even after so many things I tried to do in my life to get it out of me. And a friend of mine called me up and said, I just was in Peru and I have some ayahuasca and I think this is what you need. And I'd worked with him with other plants. He was more or less the beginning stages of the psychedelic psychotherapist many, many, many years ago.
Mhm.
And I said, I thought about it for a tenth of a second and said yes. And next thing I knew, I had a cup in my hand and I drank this cup and it was very powerful. And what I found in that was call it a journey, but I wasn't journeying because I wasn't creating it. It
Mhm.
was being created for me by the medicine and the music and the tradition and the many hundreds of generations of healers who had used that medicine, to where I got to a very core issue in my life that I didn't even know was a core issue. And I was trapped in this rather horrific situation. I wasn't horrified. I wasn't a bad trip. I was just, what am I doing here? This is
Okay.
horrible. This is what I'm seeing is horrible. It's actually a death camp in Nazi Germany.
Oh my goodness.
So, and I couldn't get away. I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't make a change. I finally kind of like, what do I do?
Right.
What do I do? This is unpleasant. Um, I want to move through this. What do I do? And I don't encourage people listening to voices in their head generally, but this voice in my head or in my heart said, trust and forgive, which immediately spun me out because how am I supposed to forgive this?
Right.
How am I supposed to trust this experience? But I was like, what do I do? Trust and forgive. There must be something else. No, trust and forgive. Tell me how to do that. Trust and forgive.
Hmm.
And I just sat with that. And I realized, it became the core of my healing practice that forgiveness was exactly letting the past wash away into the past by disconnecting that part of me that wanted to understand, that wanted to make it right, that wanted to heal, by releasing all that so that that particular experience washed away. And with the power of the ayahuasca, it wasn't imaginary, it was washed away.
Right.
It was gone. And you know, the 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 result of that was not instantaneous healing because I had a lot more to go through.
Right.
And it wasn't even related to my trauma as a child directly, although it was when I saw the threads. But what it allowed me to do was to take that part of me that was inside of me, because it certainly wasn't in the bottle of medicine,
Right.
two plants and some water,
Right.
it certainly wasn't there, but it allowed me to take what was lodged someplace deep inside of me, in my field, in my, universal consciousness, unconsciousness, whatever. I don't know what name would work for it,
Right.
but it allowed me to release that so thoroughly it no longer existed. That's the level of healing I'm talking about, to where those traumas of the past can be recalled, because I certainly have recalled it for podcasts and for my book and for lectures and stuff. But
Right.
I need not have that particular experience or any other experience that I've been through where I utilize that process of trust and forgive to weigh heavy on me. And those are the bricks in the backpack I was talking about.
So you came out of that experience probably feeling much lighter and freer.
I was like a little butterfly outside, flying from flower to flower at the end. It was lovely at the beautiful full moon night.
What a
It was
great
lovely.
experience.
Yeah.
So what other plants? I know you mentioned mushrooms and ayahuasca. Is there anything else that you found beneficial in your healing process?
Yeah, there's the Peruvian cactus called San Pedro, which is, I call it exactly like ayahuasca, only 100% different, um, in that it affects the body in a completely different way. Whereas ayahuasca is what's called a tryptamine. So it's more dreamy. It's
Okay.
more kind of relating to death and even rebirth, but it has its own, and it's so hard to put this in words for me. Some people do it. I'm not good at it. Whereas the San Pedro is the opposite in that it is a phenylethylamine, and it's more energetic. It's more daytime, eyes open. Ayahuasca, I always do at night, eyes closed, in the dark. San Pedro is open eyes, like this would be a beautiful place to experience San Pedro.
Right.
um, it's open eyes. It can be definitely closed eyes for a good part of it, but it works more on teaching self-love, teaching the heart to really expand to the point of infinite expansion, to the
I love
point where
that.
they call it the grandfather in South America. Many people call it the grandfather medicine, and I liken it to, as a small child being held in the arms of the perfect grandfather who only loves you, only wants what's best for you, doesn't want you to be frightened, doesn't want you to have any traumas that are going to ruin your life, and will love you from the inside out, from the heart out, through these places.
So
It's a very
unconditional
beautiful
love.
medicine. Unconditional, expansive, heart expanding love. Yeah.
That's Absolutely beautiful. I had a near-death experience and I came back and I felt like my heart was open and was just shooting love literally out of my heart space for everyone and everything.
Beautiful.
And it sounds like that's the experience through that expanded your heart and that connection to everyone and everything, to the universal heart, to consciousness, to the infinite.
It's shining a mirror on yourself. It's looking in what Rumi would call, I don't remember what he called it actually, but it's looking at the mirror of the self and, with focus, and the mirror sends you back what you really are, and then you send it back to the mirror and it goes back and forth at the speed of light, you
Right?
know.
So it's a remembering,
It's a remembering,
allowing,
and it's an expansiveness. It's an
yeah,
allowing. Yeah. Yeah.
surrendering and being whole.
Yes.
And that's all healing is, unconditional love and realizing that you're whole and perfect exactly as you are.
Yes.
So I know you've had so many profound experiences in your life. Uh, what are like the top three things that you've experienced that our listeners could take a grain of wisdom from and use in their lives? Just like
Oh
three
my God.
easy steps, three things I know, like three things that if they just focused for 2026 and thought, I'm going to integrate these three things into my life to make myself feel more whole and complete. What are some things you would suggest?
Take up a sitting practice every day at the same time in the morning or in the evening. Probably not the evening because you want to fall asleep in the evening, at least I do.
Right.
But in the morning, to take some time, make a commitment to a minimal amount of time, be it 5 minutes or an hour. Don't go past an hour because nobody does that in the beginning. But take time to just sit and feel your breath in your body, feel yourself, feel who you are. And, recognize that during this time period, everything is going to come up. I forgot to call my, make my appointment today for the dentist. I forgot to turn the tea off on the stove. It's all of those things that are like, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. You know, distract yourself. This is too much. But if a person can just sit there through it all and not move, and just not move, that's really the important part. And not listen to music and not say anything to yourself, not chant, not anything other than just sit with your breath. I think that's one of the most valuable things a person can do. And, as stuff comes up, be aware of it, don't process it, don't think about it, because stuff will come up, but it comes up like a balloon or a bubble being blown that gets bigger and bigger and bigger and then just pops and it's no longer there. So, and that just takes sitting with focus. Number one.
Okay.
Number two, my addiction is spending time in nature.
Me too.
And sometimes I tell people if you can't spend time in nature, get a plant on your deck or in your living room or something and communicate with that plant. But spending time in nature is beautiful. If you can find really pristine nature, all the better. I'm fortunate I live in a place where there's a park next door to me, like a big park, really big park, one of the biggest parks. I think it's the biggest city park in the world.
Wow.
So I go hiking in there on a daily basis, usually twice a day. Most people aren't that fortunate. I happen to be very fortunate to live where I live. But, take time in nature, up in the mountains, by the beach, in a park, wherever it is where you can just appreciate life. You can
Right.
appreciate your own life. I think appreciation, gratitude is one of the highest, if not the highest, human emotion. So number three is experience gratitude for yourself, for those in your life, for those causing you difficulties because they're teachers, for those causing you pleasure because they're also teachers. We can learn through pleasure or through pain and have gratitude. I think having gratitude for whatever it is that the experience is. And I realize that, there are some experiences in life that a person cannot find gratitude for until maybe many years later because they're so intense and so heartbreaking. But make finding gratitude a major thing. I just read Hostage, Ali Sharabi's book, where he was a hostage in Gaza. And he was saying that they had a practice. He developed a practice for the three other guys he was with, that every day they had to find something to be grateful about. And, what a thing to do when you're, 50 meters underground,
Right.
starving, living in puddles of your own excrement, and, nobody, you have no hope, you have no idea if you'll ever get out. But they had to find something every day that they would feel gratitude for and then share it before they went to sleep. And they started finding so many things to be grateful for, even in this horrific situation,
It's amazing.
even in this, we can't even imagine, the
Right.
book does explains it, but I can't even imagine what it'd be like to 2 years,
Wow.
there. But they found gratitude, and that gratitude helped them get through the experience that they were stuck in. And so if I can, sip a cup of tea and have gratitude for the flavors I'm tasting, if I can take a deep breath and have gratitude for that breath and the next breath, if I can look in the eyes of a loved one and not have any shields up and just have gratitude for their presence in my life, even if they might piss me off sometimes, I can still have gratitude for them,
Ah,
you know. So whatever it is, number three would be gratitude.
I love it.
I could
It's
say a number four
uh-huh.
would be find something in your life that causes awe, that connects you to awe, because gratitude might be one of the highest emotions. When you mix awe plus gratitude, I don't think it gets any better than that.
I don't think so. I think that's when you have those aha moments that can
Yeah.
lead you to your passion in your life.
Yeah. And we might get mundane, like, oh yeah, gonna change the oil in my car and I'm gonna go to the dentist next week and this and that. But if I could see the universe, my universe, this world, through the right kind of eyes, every single thing that I perceive is a miracle.
Right.
Everything is a miracle because nobody knows where we are. Nobody knows why we're here. Nobody knows who we are. Nobody knows these things. Or if they do, they're not talking. And if they're talking, I don't think they should be talking
Right.
because it's an experience that a person has. But can I have awe for the fact that I'm alive on a little speck of dust floating in an infinite universe, but yet here I am, so big and I'm so small, but yet here I am experiencing it.
That's
That's
beautiful.
astounding.
It
It's
is
astounding.
astounding. And just that our bodies are functioning and all the different things that your body has to do to stay alive is a miracle.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Had a friend who wrote a book called The Inner Game of Tennis many years ago. And one of the things that he would say is he'd like throw a ball to somebody and they catch it, usually, just catch it.
right,
And, his comment was if you tried to or had to tell every single muscle, every single part of your brain, measuring its speed, measuring its distance, reaching out with a certain specific muscles on how to catch, you'd be a puddle of like tears. You couldn't even function if you had to do everything in that way. But somehow we know, somehow we're able.
the autonomic system just does it for us without even a thought,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And
So,
we
do you
breathe.
have any parting words for our listeners?
I think the main parting word is, it can, if you're suffering, it's temporary. It can get better. Um, healing happens. We're hardwired to heal. We're hardwired for joy. Rumi says, I had a sometimes can't believe I was born for joy. Something like that. I'm badly mangling a quotation there, so I'm saying it. So we're born for joy. We're supposed to be joyful. We're supposed to be, we have the capacity to be joyful. We have the capacity to be in harmony. We have the capacity to be in peace, no matter what's going on in the world.
Right.
That's the hard part to get to. And my second parting thought would be you'll really love my book if you read it.
And can I can't wait to read it. I'll look it up on Amazon and I'll put it in the podcast notes and link it so people can go right to it because I look forward to reading it also. And I just want to thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. And then, do you have a website you can share right now? And then I'll also put it in the notes.
I do. My website is heartfeather.com.
Oh, I
And
love it.
heart feather is from the Egyptian tradition or cosmology of when a person dies, Osiris, I believe, takes their heart out and puts it on a scale. It's called the scale of Ma'at. And Ma'at holds the scale and puts a feather on the other side, balance scale. And if your heart weighs more than the feather, you're not allowed access into the next realities, into the heavenly realms. So the heart has to be lighter than the feather. So my work is about helping people find out how to make their heart lighter than a feather.
Beautiful. I absolutely love that. I love the connection to Egyptian anything. I always have had an infinity to that. But
Yeah.
that is absolutely beautiful. And thank you so much. And I always pick an intuitive heart oracle card. And today's is embrace your shadow side. When feelings come up that you don't like, sit for a moment with them. In the darkness, know the light is always available to you. Process the lessons, and then let the light shine bright in you and to everyone around you. Embrace your shadow side. I want to thank every soul listening today and watching. We appreciate you, the healing soul, empowering wellness and oneness. God loves you, and so do I. Thank you.